決闘はタングステンの槍を投げた時から終わっていた。
Welcome to WatchMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the anime series that are a total power trip for the protagonist and the audience. Just to be clear, we'll be ranking them based on how much of a power fantasy they are, not by the quality of the show. Number 10, The Irregular at Magic High School. Tatsuya Shiba is the overpowered titular MC from this power fantasy.
先ほどご自分でおっしゃっていたじゃないですか。魔法師は冷静を心がけるべきでしょ。
Despite initially not appearing strong by his magic school standards, Tatsuya is actually obscenely powerful, just not according to their usual metrics. His laundry list of unique magic and skills are all it takes to earn him admirers and suitors wherever he goes. It certainly isn't Tatsuya's personality that draws everyone to him, considering he's usually as emotional as a plank of wood.
すまん。もう一回言ってくれ。
While the world tends to bend over backwards to highlight Tatsuya's amazingness, it can still be entertaining to see him dominate everyone who stands in his way.
予想外に大規模で深刻な事態が進行しているようだ。
Number 9, that time I got reincarnated as a slime. Rimuru Tempest is like many isekai protagonists in that he's reborn in another world after death. However, in this case, he's a slime. Despite being among the weakest monsters, Rimuru quickly becomes incredibly strong thanks to his ability to acquire and combine skills and abilities. His meteoric power quickly wins over his fellow monsters, rapidly letting him build a small nation. While Slime is a power fantasy, Rimuru and his friends' ability to flex on others isn't as focused on self-insert, self-aggrandizement, and action as others in the genre. Instead, the series presents a world where someone who's strong and well-intentioned enough can bring people and/or monsters together. It's just a fun, heartwarming show with entertaining characters and some surprisingly good world building. Number 8, The Misfit of Demon King Academy.
気づいたか？心臓の鼓動だ。
Anos Voldigode was the all-powerful Demon King, but after dying and reincarnating thousands of years later, Anos finds that not only has magic declined, no one at the academy meant to choose the next Demon King seems to remember his real name. They may not connect his name to his power, but Anos quickly and repeatedly demonstrates that he's the real deal. The Misfit of Demon King Academy fits right in among other power fantasies, with Anos' absurd feats of strength and destruction of his foes' pathetic ideals often being satisfying to watch.
これが俗に言う3秒ルールだ。
The added mystery component of uncovering why Anos has been forgotten adds another layer of intrigue as well.
殺したぐらいで俺が死ぬとでも思ったか。
Number 7, The Eminence in Shadow. Many kids dream of becoming an all-powerful hero. Sid Kagino had a different dream, to be an eminence in shadow, an overpowered puppet master who manipulates things from the shadows. When he's reborn into a world with magic, he gets his chance to live out his power fantasy. What sets the Eminence in Shadow apart from the rest of the genre is that it's both a celebration and parody of power fantasies. Sid in his identity as Shadow has a harem/army of beautiful subordinates, as well as wealth beyond dreaming and influence that enables them to fight against an organization of demon cultists. The problem is that Sid is so wrapped up in his fantasy, he doesn't realize it's real. This contradiction makes for some hilarious misunderstandings.
I am the Orange Atomic.
Number 6. Solo leveling. Based on a Korean webtoon and novel, Solo Leveling follows Sung Jinwoo, one of many hunters charged with defeating monsters inside portals that have opened up all over Earth. However, Jinwoo is among the weakest at first. Yet, after most of his comrades are killed inside a dungeon, Jinwoo awakens to find himself able to access a video game-like interface and become stronger more rapidly by defeating enemies and completing quests. Although Jinwoo often surprises others with how strong he is, and video game themes are quite common in Power Fantasies, Solo Leveling differentiates itself by having its protagonist work to obtain his overwhelming power. Plus, the fights are so damn hype. Number 5. Classroom of the Elite. Schools in Japan often push their students towards excellence, but this anime goes the extra mile, depicting a school with a meritocratic point system. Into this cutthroat school is dropped Kiyotaka Ayanokoshi, a brilliant student who is nevertheless in the worst performing class. Ayanokoshi's power lies primarily in his mind, as he manipulates things to the benefit of himself and his low-performing classmates to get ahead. Classroom of the Elite combines power fantasy tropes with several common high school anime cliches and elements of a psychological thriller. The show doesn't reinvent the wheel, but the mixture of elements does make for an experience some consider elite. Number 4. The Rising of the Shield Hero. Naofumi Iwatani, along with 3 other chosen heroes, are isekai'd into a fantasy world. However, Naofumi is stuck with the seemingly useless shield hero abilities. Betrayed and ostracized by the people he's meant to save, Naofumi is forced to start his hero's journey from the bottom. Initially having elements in common with a revenge fantasy, Naofumi's adventures take on more power fantasy traits as time goes on. He eventually gains the respect of the people and gets even, and then some, with those who double-crossed him. Naofumi is surrounded by girls devoted to him and constantly shows up his supposedly strong opponents. Shield Hero has a more cynical edge to it than most other power fantasies, which has helped its enduring appeal. Number 3. Overlord. Unlike most isekai protagonists, Ainz Ulgon is a villain. Once a maxed out VR MMO player, Ainz finds himself in a new world where his skeletal body is real and his villainous NPCs are fanatically devoted to him. Ainz and the rest of the Great Tomb of Nazarick are all far stronger than the vast majority of their new home's inhabitants. While this does lead to many curb-stomp battles that bring all the usual power fantasy satisfaction, they're ultimately not the focus of the series. Rather, Overlord is more about the political and world-building side of the story. What happens when a fantasy world encounters an overwhelming evil that can't be stopped? Also, what if that evil overlord was just winging it?
私はここにアインズールゴウン魔導国建国を宣言する。
Number 2, Arifetta, From Commonplace to World's Strongest. Hajime Nagumo is initially just one of several school kids summoned to another world to save it. But after a betrayal sees him thrown into a pit of monsters, Hajime manages to use his weak skill to develop into a badass gunsmith. Arifetta ticks a lot of boxes of most power fantasies.
一応止めたからな。
The hero goes through trials after treachery and comes back overpowered and ready to show up the jerks who turned on him. He also forms his own harem through very little effort.
はじめさんのそばにいたいからです。好きなので。
は
Hajime is exactly the kind of edgelord character most teenagers wish they could be. Still, despite Arifetta being in many ways prototypical among power fantasy anime, it didn't launch many of the genre's tropes. Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure to go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Sword Art Online. For better and for worse, Sword Art Online is one of the most influential power fantasy anime. Kirito is sort of isekai'd into a VR video game, several of them actually, but thanks to his various broken exploits, he's so overpowered that the devs should probably look into the balance issues.
この剣を抜くたびに心の中で私のことを思い出してね。
The cool protagonist attracts cute girls like moths to a flame. There is fan service aplenty, and it's set in video games, all standard power fantasy tropes. These days, some accuse SAO of being cliched, but it's important to keep in mind that it also pioneered, or at least popularized, many of those same cliches.
リト君も早く脱いでよ。私だけ恥ずかしいよ。
After all, who among us hasn't wished that being very good at video games would make us popular? What's your favorite power fantasy anime? Let us know in those comments below.
もう死んでいる。
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.